In March 2003, the FBI arrested 44-year-old Andrew Carlson. Newspapers reported that this man was extraordinarily lucky. In the history of stock markets, he had earned like no other. He invested $800, and within 2 weeks, it turned into $350 million. The FBI suspected that he was running a scam, that he was an insider trader. When Andrew was questioned, he answered that he was a time traveler. He claimed that he was a traveler from 250 years in the future, and that he knew how the stocks would perform, so he invested in them, and got the extraordinary result. The FBI was surprised at this. The FBI was convinced that he was lying, and they took it upon themselves to prove that he was lying. When they investigated some more, they found that, before December 2002, there was no record of Carlson. Even more surprising was that, on April 3rd, Carlson had to appear in court for his bail hearing, but he had disappeared, never to be found again. Was he really a time traveler? Is it really possible to travel through time? Or is it only fiction for novels and films? In today's video, let's understand the concept of time traveling scientifically.
Wait, are you talking about a time machine?
You know the rules of time jumps, right?
Time travel, a concept that has been explored since the early 1900s.
I have no idea when we're talking about time travel here. Either it's all a joke or none of it is.
In 1895, writer H.G. Wells wrote his groundbreaking novel, The Time Machine. It was after this that the phrase, time machine, became popular. A machine that can take you into the future as well as the past. With it, you can travel through time. Although this novel was fiction, but several philosophers and physicists were inspired by it. Not only were serious research papers written on time travel, but many films were also made. If we think about it, the exact way time travel takes place can be used to classify it into different types. First, let's use sci-fi films. To understand this concept better, time travel can be of many different kinds. The first is the one-way travel to the future. You travel to the future and you can't return. It is one-sided time travel. Interstellar is an example of this. In it, a time traveler traveled to the future, but his family members and other people keep on aging. When he meets them again, some had even died. The second way is instantaneous time jumping. A person can jump from one point in time to another instantly, using a time machine. It was shown in the film Back to the Future, and in The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. The third way can be when the time traveler stands still, and it is time that is moving around the traveler. This was shown in the film Harry Potter, Prisoners of Azkaban, when Hermione uses the time turner. The fourth is slow time travel. As shown in the 2004 film Primer, the time traveler gets inside a box. With every minute he spends in the box, he goes back into the time by a minute. So if he wanted to go back a day, he had to remain in the box for a day. The fifth is traveling at the speed of light. To travel through time. This was shown in Superman, 1979. In it, Superman flew faster than the speed of light and travels back in time. The question is, among all these concepts of time travel, which way is actually possible today, in real life? Which way may be possible in the future? And which way is completely unscientific and will never be possible? Don't be surprised. You might think that all of these are rubbish, science fiction, and can't be possible. That's not true. Some of these are actually possible to do. Even today, broadly speaking, there can be two types of time travel. One is to travel into the future, and the other is to go back into the past. Let's talk about traveling to the future first. The scientific explanations and theories of traveling to the future are derived from Albert Einstein's theory of special relativity. The concept of time dilation was introduced by Einstein. Before Einstein, it was believed that time is constant. Whether you're on Earth, or on Mars, or near a black hole, time was believed to be something that was constant. One of the most famous mathematicians and physicists in the world, Isaac Newton, was the one to say this. In his opinion, regardless of the speed with which you're traveling through space, regardless of the position, the flow of time would be constant. Albert Einstein was the first person to refute this. He said that Newton was wrong. Time isn't constant. He claimed that time was like a river. Like water flows in a river. Sometimes it slows down. Sometimes the flow of the river speeds up. Similarly, the flow of time. Sometimes it slows down, and sometimes it picks up the pace, depending upon speed and gravity. Yup, you heard it right. Einstein had said that. Time can actually be sped up and slowed down. if the speed and gravitational force could be changed. This is known as time dilation. If I have to explain it with a practical example, suppose you have two clocks. I keep one clock with me and put it on the ground, and I send the other clock with you on an aeroplane. The aeroplane goes around the Earth once and lands back. If we then compare the two clocks, though the clocks showed the same time initially, but now the clock that you took with you on the aeroplane, the time it shows would be some nanoseconds behind the other. The two clocks wouldn't show the same time, because one clock was traveling at a higher speed. It's subjected to kinematic time dilation. I'm not making this up. There was an experiment in 1971. Atomic clocks were used, because time was to be measured precisely, and it was seen that the clock that was in the aeroplane, the time it showed was behind that of the other clock. This was known as the Haffel-Keating experiment. This had proved Einstein's theory of time dilation. Theoretically speaking, if we could build a rocket that travels at the speed of light, and you get in that rocket, you remain in that rocket for 10 years traveling at that speed, and then you return to Earth, the time that you see on Earth would be 9,000 years later. Simply speaking, if you want to travel into the future, you can already do it now. It is scientifically possible to do so today. The only problem is that there isn't an aircraft that travels at this speed. You can get to the speed of light, but with improvements in technology, we can build more such aircraft and spaceships that can fly faster. It would slowly become possible